can lead to fat storage. Sugary foods can replace the nutritious foods. So sometimes the nutrition, sometimes you're having something just like we were talking about earlier, where you're having the Coke instead of the apple, so the sugary can replace the nutritious. High sugar diets can promote weight gain for more than one reason, but the most common reason is an increase in calories over your caloric intake for the day. Sugar contributes to dental caries, I like to throw that one in there, some cavities. So, you know, make sure you're brushing your teeth. We often forget that, but I like to throw it in there just because it's not part of, really, truly part of nutrition. Contribute to unhealthy blood lipids. So what that means is the fat in your blood, cholesterol, and also heart disease. So it's important to make sure that you're eating a range and a balance in your intake every day, and that the meals are consist mostly of carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates. So the simple carbohydrates are, again, the ones that don't contain fiber, right? And there's the starches and the fiber, the complex. So you want to make sure that you're getting more of those than the simple sugars. Okay, so a little more of the science. Like I was talking earlier, we kind of got away from that, but I wanted to go through this just to give you a little bit of an understanding, and you can look over this and study it, but I want to kind of explain what happens as far as when you eat carbohydrates. So when you eat, well, we'll just say an apple, your blood glucose rises. And then the high blood glucose stimulates your pancreas to release insulin. We all know what insulin is, right? Hormone. So the insulin stimulates the uptake of glucose into your cells, storage as glycogen in the liver and muscles. Insulin also stimulates the conversion of excess glucose into fat for storage. So we were talking about that earlier. Now, as the body uses the body's cells use glucose, the blood glucose levels decline, and then you start to have low blood glucose, which stimulates the pancreas to release glucagon into the bloodstream, and glucagon stimulates liver cells to break down glycogen and release glucose into the blood. So there's a lot of information there, but I want you to look at this and kind of understand, like, you know, your body's really working on both sides of when you have high glucose or low blood glucose. So whether you're fasting or fed or in either one, your body is working in some form of fashion, either your liver, your pancreas, your muscles, working to store fat or working to use it, which I like to reiterate the fact that that's another reason to eat small balanced meals throughout the day to keep your body level with carbohydrates. Okay, so the glycemic index, and I was just talking about your foods in moderation, having a balance of carbohydrates through the day. This is a popular way of looking at carbohydrates and the way that they digest or absorb in your body. So it goes from an idea of high glycemic index foods in small quantities, and then larger quantities of low glycemic index foods for your blood sugar. It's a ranking system for carbohydrates based on their immediate effect on blood glucose levels. It compares carbohydrates gram for gram in individual foods, and it providing a numerical evidence-based index for postprandial, which means after you've eaten, postprandial glycemia. So this is very helpful for diabetics, and there's some controversy over it a little bit, but it's still useful in my opinion. So that would be a good way to gauge whether or not foods would spike your blood sugar. So when it comes down to it, the whole grains that we were talking earlier, those starches and the fibers, your complex carbohydrates, are very beneficial to your health. So you want to make sure that you're having most of your foods from this. It doesn't mean that you can't have your sweet treats and your cupcakes and that sort of thing. We'll enjoy a sweet treat. It just means that most of your diet should be whole grains to keep your body, you keep your homeostasis, which is a balance in your body. So one of the health effects of starch and fibers is that it promotes weight control. mainly because complex carbohydrates provide less fat and added sugar, but also helps with satiety and fullness. That's another reason for you to have it, especially if you're trying to like kind of control your portions and maybe we were eating in excess before. So a way to kind of get that fullness feeling to help you with cutting your portions down if you were eating too much before is to maybe what we call volumetrics, to add volume, bulk to what you're eating by adding vegetables. So make half of your carbohydrates whole grains. So starting your day with high fiber selection, this in itself will help keep you fuller longer. Whole grains, which we just said are naturally low in fat and added sugars, for the most part there are no added sugars. Fiber-rich snacks mix is helpful throughout the day. So if you're trying to do your 3 meals a day and 3 snacks, then try to make your snacks more fibrous, have more fiber-rich foods. I like to use Fiber One, the lemon bars myself. Those are really tasty snacks. So just you can look in your grocery stores and you can find a lot of things that have fiber that'll help keep you fuller longer if you're not going to snack on some vegetables and fruits. So you have your whole grain pastas, your rice, and your bread, and combine whole grains with other foods and mixed dishes like we were just talking about volumetrics. So you could do whole grains with beans and maybe like broccoli and some other vegetables, and that'll give you a whole lot of fiber. It'll be very filling, low fat, and I think you'd be satisfied with that with no added sugars. So we're still discussing the health effects of fiber. With the help of the bulking and cutting down on your portions, that's one way of that soluble and insoluble fiber will both help you control your weight. It helps, again, keep you fuller, more satisfied, longer. The soluble helps with this is more of the health effects. It helps lower your blood cholesterol and improves your blood glucose control. So the lower blood glucose, it helps that. It does the lowering the blood glucose by binding dietary cholesterol, so it's less absorbed. So it kind of like acts almost as a sponge, if you will. So the more fiber with something that's a little heavier in fat can help to decrease absorption. So it also slows their glucose absorption. So again, remember these are your complex carbohydrates, your fiber. It slows transit time of food through your upper GI tract. So slowing transit time means it kind of moves a little slower through your intestines. It doesn't, that's what transit means. Holds moisture in the stools and softening them. So you've always seen, everybody's seen those commercials about add fiber, right? So this is a way to do it in your diet and keep you full and keep your weight controlled, but also help with that area as well. Make sure to drink plenty of water too. So it helps with the lowering when it's binding cholesterol and with fat absorption. It can also help with the heart disease. And then, of course, it's lowering the glucose absorption and eating whole grains throughout the day or complex carbohydrates throughout the day will help lower the risk of diabetes by the control of blood glucose, so they're keeping that homeostasis. So insoluble fiber, you have soluble and insoluble. The insoluble is the one that increases your stool. So it helps with your GI motility, and reduces the risk of constipation. Now, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but when it comes down to it, if you've ever suffered from anything like hemorrhoids or diverticulitis, you know that those can be very painful, and if insoluble fiber is the way to go to help decrease this, then it's something worth paying attention to. But also with the risk of colon cancer, so you want to increase your soluble fiber. Now, with everything that I've talked to you about tonight, mostly the thing to take home with this is the balance and moderation. So sugars are not bad. There's no such thing as bad sugars. It's how much that we're taking in. So the key point was excess. Excess in anything is not a good thing. So you want to try to keep moderation. It's okay to have some simple sugars and added sugars in your diet, and it's when we get to the higher amounts that it becomes unhealthy. So like with having most of your discretionary calories, those are the ones that you want to make sure that you've gotten everything that you can get from your whole grains for the day, or your complex carbohydrates and your vitamins and minerals. You want to try to meet that. It's kind of difficult, but once you meet that, then you have those discretionary calories where you can add in, you know, you can have the extra added sugar that maybe wouldn't be such a good idea if you haven't met that. Doesn't mean that you can't have them. So choose carbohydrates wisely, choose complex sugars more often over simple sugars. Eating sugars in moderation can promote health and reduce chronic disease and risk. And by that, it was meaning, you know, keeping your blood glucose level by having your snacks and meals throughout the day, so that you aren't bombarded with all the sugar at one time, and your pancreas and your liver are working overtime, like what's going on. So from the diagram, you can go back and look at that. So make sure that you're eating in a balance and throughout the day, so that helps to keep a level blood glucose. And then I also just want to say that, you know, sugar receives the blame for many health problems, but without it, your body would cease to function properly. So keep that in mind too. You do not want to eliminate sugar from your diet. Your body can't function properly without it. So if you're trying to build muscle, if you're trying to lose body fat, then you must add in carbohydrates to be able to do that. Your metabolic functions cannot drop body fat or build muscle without it. So keep that in mind. If you have any other questions, you know, just let us know. So, and I don't know if you can see the PS down there, but the PS is exercise. I may be a dietitian, but I also firmly believe in exercise. You have to, it's eating and exercising together. You've got to get your days of working out, lifting weights, and cardio in, and then with a balance and diet. It's not one or the other. You've got to do it together. So, any questions about anything? Okay, so we have Body Track has a gift card here for $50 to see. I'm going to ask you a question and see if you can answer it. And if anyone answers it correctly, then you get a gift card for participating in our webinar today. So the question is white sugar, table sugar, bad for your health? And why? Can you answer that? Okay, we have an answer. And the answer is, okay, yeah, it's right. Sugar is not bad for you, and because it's part of, it will break down to glucose, and it's what your body needs. So it's a good answer. Great job. I just want to say thank you for joining today, and if you have any questions, just let us know, and good luck on your journeys at Body Track, and I hope you reach your goals and success. Thank you so much.